Welcome to another episode of We Don't Die. I'm your host, Sandra Champlain, author of the best-selling book called We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. And I have an invitation. Check your calendar. What are you doing this September? September 15th through 17th, 2017. Well, I'll be one of 27 or so speakers at the Afterlife Research and Education Symposium. Big conference all about the afterlife. It'll be held in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Embassy Suites. And you can find out more at afterlifestudies.org. And even if you can't attend, I know it's a distance for quite a lot of people, but it's a really great website to go to see the cutting edge information of who's doing what in the world of the afterlife. I mean, it is mind boggling to know what's going on. It's fantastic. Alrighty, on to the show today. Today we have as our guest, Melissa White. Melissa is a psychic medium and intuitive advisor. She has completed extensive mentorship with the famous British psychic medium and teacher Tony Stockwell, and is also part of Shay Parker's Best American Psychics, which is a select group of double-tested and validated psychics proven to be good and ethical in their work. There is so much more to Melissa for her to share in her own words, but I want to tell you she works with a deep reverence for spirit and aims to inspire others with hope, healing, and love. Her website is melissawhitesacredsoul.com. Melissa White, welcome to We Don't Die Radio.
Hello, Sandra. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm really grateful. And you just told me before this episode that you've listened to all these shows, all these episodes of We Don't Die.
I have, and it's been wonderful. I feel like I know you already just from listening. So it's a real honor to be here. Thank you.
I'm so grateful. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and like you had said too, even though you're a psychic medium, there's so many different aspects of the afterlife, and you get to learn some new stuff too.
Oh, completely. I've really enjoyed the stuff that the interviews you've had where, there's been stuff about the soul phone and the EVPs and all kinds of different aspects. So it's definitely been informative.
Yeah, I like it too, just because, for me, who was a skeptic, thinking, oh, nobody's got any proof of the afterlife, nobody's got any evidence. It's like you can't listen to too many of my episodes without going, maybe there is something to this. Well, let's talk about you. You are coming to us from the West Coast. Where do you live, roughly?
I live in the suburbs of Vancouver, so just about 45 minutes east of Vancouver in Canada.
Very good. I was just in your area not too long ago. I went on an Alaskan cruise with my mom.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, we stopped in Victoria. That's where we were.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anyways, how did your journey start in this wonderful world of mediumship? Is you somebody who's always been interested, or you just tell us, where did it all begin for you?
Well, I would say that it's always been there. It's always, I always felt connected, but I didn't always know that this would be my journey. I didn't realize this would be my vocation. This would be what I was doing. I grew up in a household that it wasn't spoken of. Things about spirits, the afterlife, none of it was really spoken of. And I grew up in a Catholic family, so it wasn't really accepted. I also had an uncle who's now in the spirit world, but when he was here in the physical world, he had the same abilities as I do. He was, he had the clairaudience, the clairvoyance, but he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Oh. And so he was institutionalized. So this was in the 60s, right? So it wasn't understood. And I grew up knowing that he had that experience. And so I always kind of felt like he wasn't actually... I felt like he was misunderstood. So I kept it to myself, the things that I would feel, the things that I would sense, until I was older. Because I think that I just really had this feeling that it wasn't going to be accepted if I kind of spoke of it.
Right.
So as a result, I ended up, growing up with quite a bit of anxiety. I think just because I wasn't being true to myself. I wasn't letting people know the real me, because there was always something a little bit hidden. So I guess the way that I sort of opened up to it was that when I had my son, I was 23, and I ended up about a week after he was born having incredible, like just excruciating pain and abdominal pain. So I kept going to the doctor, ended up in the ER a few times, and basically they dismissed me. They kind of thought it was because it's something to do with just having given birth or, all kinds of different things. They misdiagnosed me a few times. And I knew there was something really wrong. I felt it. I felt like I was near death. I felt so ill, and nobody was listening. So it was it was a very difficult time for me because I felt, very vulnerable. I was still healing from, just having given birth
Sure.
and getting used to having, a newborn baby. And so of course there is, I was emotional and everything, but what ended up happening was my mom came to visit one afternoon, and I always lock the door. I don't know when I'm at home, but I had left the door open, so she was able to just come in, and she found me, and I was basically just like laying on the couch. She said I looked so white, it scared her. And my son was in his bassinet sleeping, but she took one look at me and she said, "That's it, we're going." So we went to a different hospital, went to the ER, and I don't even know, it's sort of like a blur, but basically I think they did blood work. And then within like 5 minutes, all of a sudden they were wheeling me up to do exploratory surgery.
Wow.
So they knew something was very wrong, but I still didn't know what. So I remember being alone, and I don't even know how I was left alone, but I remember being alone in a hospital bed, knowing that I was getting ready to go into this surgery, which no idea what was wrong or what the result would be. And I really felt like I was near death. Like I felt it, I knew it. And I remember praying. So I prayed to God. And then as I was laying there, I felt my dad's mom and my dad's dad, who were both in spirit, come close to me. So it was so like tangible. I could feel them. And basically the message was, just have the surgery. You're going to be okay. You're going to get to know your son. And so, with that experience, I just felt, okay, relief. I can do this. So I ended up, I had the surgery not knowing, just going on that faith of feeling them with me. And when I woke up, the surgeon told me, he said, you wouldn't have had 24 more hours because my appendix had ruptured.
Wow.
And it was so bad, they almost had to take out part of my colon. It was intense. So, I woke up and my response was almost like I was laughing because I just couldn't believe how crazy it was. It's not something that you ever expect would happen. But not only that, just to be misdiagnosed and, I wasn't being heard. And so there were so many lessons from that experience. And really, it taught me to trust my intuition because I knew something was wrong. I knew it. And then yet I guess I followed through because I was going to the doctor, but you also start to think maybe you're going crazy because doctors, you expect that they know what they're doing, and you tell them, your symptoms, and you expect that they're going to fix you. Right.
That's
So
right. And you trust them
yeah,
to do that. Yeah.
yeah. So it sort of showed me to trust myself, but also, that experience of having my grandparents there, I wouldn't say that it made me feel like, oh, okay, now I'm a medium. It kind of proved to me that, yes, they are there. As much as I knew, it was it was such a comfort.
Right.
And I think it changed the way that I saw things afterwards. So I came out of that experience and basically I started to see the world in a different light. And I started to feel like, okay, I'm here. What's my purpose? So it definitely, that sort of changed things. Then a couple years later, I had my daughter, and at the time it was intense. She was 6 weeks old, and my husband had a really serious car accident and basically was disabled from it.
Wow.
So we went from having him, working and being the provider and everything like that, to him not working and me being at home with my newborn baby plus my son, and really struggling to find a way, to have hope, because everything changed very quickly, very rapidly for us. And this is kind of what opened me up, is actually through the stress of that time and that accident. We had a flood in our house. Like, there was just so many things at the time that were just really challenging. I decided I wanted to learn to meditate because I really knew my anxiety was out of control and I needed to find some peace. I needed to find something. So I saw an advertisement for a meditation class, and I showed up. It was drop-in, and I didn't realize it was a psychic development circle. So
Okay.
I just thought I was going to learn to meditate and, have some peace. And I show up, and the lady that was running it is a medium and did the meditation, and I'd never meditated. So, not like that anyway. So I started to see things, feel things, hear things, had a very emotional experience. It was beautiful. And at the end, she just said to me, "Do you not know that you're a medium?" And I said, "No, like, not really." Like, I've known, I've known things my whole life. I've had experiences, but I didn't really ever call myself that.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "You are." And she just said, "Keep coming, keep coming back." And I said, "Okay." So basically that's where it started. I started going every week and sitting in circle. And every week I would just feel such amazing connection to the spirit world. And I felt so healed. So it was sort of like that opened me up to the possibility that, yes, like, this connection that I've always felt is real and it's valid. And it sort of became like my weekly ritual where I would go, and it was like my saving grace. It got me through that time in my life.
Definitely.
It was amazing. So that's kind of how it happened.
When you were there in the not just meditation circle, did you actually start doing medium experiments, like seeing if you
Yeah.
could tap into? Do you have a story there that you actually brought through somebody? I mean, because to me, I know for me, it was like, what? Are you kidding me? I really saw this in my mind, and you're telling me that that person actually existed? Did you have one of those kind of experiences?
Well, yeah, let me think. I mean, I know for the first experience that was really, really sort of like unbelievable was with psychometry. So we were
What's
working
that,
so
first of all?
reading the energy of objects.
Okay.
So it was a ring of one of the lady that was running it. It was her, I think it was her grandmother or her mom. I can't remember, but it was her ring. So she had us all hold different objects of someone, it belonged to somebody that's now in spirit. And basically, I just closed my eyes and I started seeing all kinds of things in my mind's eye, all kinds of symbols and all kinds of, and then feeling like all of a sudden my heart was feeling, beating fast. And of course, she passed from, a heart attack. And I was seeing like a beautiful oil painting in my mind's eye. And she, told me afterwards, yes, she was an artist, things like that. And to me, it just opened my eyes and I was like, oh, like, it made perfect sense, but I needed that validation or that proof for myself. So it took, I would say I went for 8 to 10 months, probably about 10 months religiously every week before I started to feel that I'd proven it to myself enough.
What kind of place was this held at? Was it a church? Was it somewhere
No,
else?
it's just a little center. So it was a local medium in my area, who was just hosting like weekly drop-in meditation.
I can't help but think that all throughout the world, there are people that have these things going on. I'm not exactly sure how we look for them,
Yeah.
but
Well, it just seems to be that the right people are attracted to the right places at the right time. And I think that spirit really directs us there and guides us to where we need to be. Because, I don't find it to be a coincidence that I happen to be, walking by and just happened to see the sign that said, weekly meditation, and that I felt brave enough to go. Like it's sort of, it makes me feel like I kind of chuckle, and I feel like, of course they would put that in front of me, knowing that it was time.
Yeah, sometimes I'm sitting in front of the computer, and whether it's Google or one of the other searches, I just type, okay, like for instance, I could be maybe mediumship circle Boston
Yes. Yeah.
or wherever, and just to see what comes up. And it's interesting because I do know, I do believe we got a spirit team working with us, and when we're ready, maybe we'll just think thoughts of what to type in, to the search, those
Oh,
kind of
totally.
things.
Totally.
Yeah. So then what happened with your journey after the time sitting?
Well, it kind of just evolved. I mean, I look back and I think I went religiously to that class, and then people just organically just started asking for readings. It was kind of like here and there. People, I think my first reading that I did for the public was my hairdresser's friend, and I just happened to be talking to my hairdresser about what I was doing and kind of the experiences that I had, and her friend was really interested, so she messaged me asking if she could make an appointment. So I thought, okay, I'll do this,
Hmm.
and really, it was the first person that I didn't really know that I had read, and for me, I found it so much easier because I was reading these people week after week in the development circle, but you start to know things, and you start to think, oh, is this my logical mind, or is this
Hmm.
really happening?
Or did they tell me
Whereas,
this once
yeah,
before?
exactly. You
Yeah.
question yourself, right? So with this stranger, it was beautiful because I had no information prior, and the things that were coming through and the people that were coming through, obviously it was touching for her, and it was healing, and it really proved to me that, yeah, like this, I could do this. And so it just started from there. She told people, and then they told people, and within, like, I'd say 2 months, it was like it became my full-time job.
Yeah, word of mouth travels fast, especially when you're good and I mean, because it makes such a difference. There's nothing like getting some validation that your loved one is still around. And yeah, I know a lot of people say, oh, mediums can be general and do these cold readings and stuff. And I get that. And there certainly are a lot of frauds out there. But I know the people I talk to are come highly recommended and have integrity, and to give some specifics that there's no way anybody could make up, you know.
And that's what it is. And I actually think that word of mouth in this industry, in mediumship, is actually the best, because it doesn't matter. You could advertise, you could do all kinds of things, but somebody has to sort of hear the experience from someone that they trust and someone that they know. And once they hear that, then I feel like they'll feel comfortable, or they can trust. But I think that the word of mouth, yeah, that's basically what is spread the word.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it's kind of like, it's evolved. And I laugh because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a teacher, or a therapist, or an interpreter, a language interpreter.
Oh, you're all of the above now.
Yeah, and so I think it's so funny. It's so cool that it turned out this way, but I never, even though I'm psychic, obviously, I never expected it, or I could have never predicted that for myself.
Mm.
So it's very cool.
Melissa, are there ever, I always have this vision that when people go to a medium, there's a lot of grief and heaviness. And have you ever had an experience where funny or fun things come from those in the other world?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I honestly feel like the spirit world wants us to laugh. They want us to enjoy our reading, even though we're bringing grief up to the surface,
Hmm.
and um, it is a very tender, experience, and it is very healing. But some of the best senses of humor that I've experienced have been in spirit. I had once in a group reading where it was mostly, I think they were all family, maybe like 8 to 10 people,
Hmm.
and a few friends. And it was at this lady's house, and she's, like a elderly lady. And I went over, I sat down and I just felt her husband so strong. And so it's her husband and obviously the father to her kids that were there and everything. And even some of his grandkids were there. And so I'm bringing him through, giving information about him. And the lady said to me, well, the only thing I'm worried about is how am I going to recognize him? How am I going to know him when I go to spirit? And he showed me in my mind's eye him in cowboy boots, but basically like nothing else. Like he was just wearing his underwear, like his boxers.
Yeah.
And he's this like stocky, like, 75-year-old man kind of. And I just started laughing and I'm like, I don't know if I can say this. And she looking at me, she said, what? What is he saying? And I said, oh, he's not saying it. He's showing me. And he's strutting around in nothing else but his cowboy boots. And she started just laughing. The whole family started laughing. And it was so him. Like, that's his personality. And apparently he did have cowboy boots that he liked to wear. And he was very flirty with her in the physical world. So it was a great moment. And there was no doubt in their mind that was him, because that's exactly what he would say.
I saw a medium do a platform reading in front of a big group, and everybody was kind of somber and hoping their loved one would come through. And so sure enough, this man comes through, and then the medium starts laughing. She says, I don't know if I could say this. She says, he's showing himself in a Speedo, and sure enough, I mean, that was a special joke between him and his, girlfriend who was in the audience, and, with him prancing around in the Speedo, right? So it just lightened the mood, and it was just so great.
Yeah, it can be hilarious, some of the things that they'll have us see or know or feel. And I think some of those moments are the best ones, because that laughter, that energy of joy is such a high vibration. It lifts everybody up. Then it's almost like everything is open and you can get all those really detailed names and, whatever, street names and information that you really want, because all of a sudden everybody's relaxed, everybody's in a higher vibration, and all of a sudden it can flow. So I think the spirit world knows what they're doing.
Interesting. About laughter. I've heard people say that laughter does bring the highest vibration. So, there's been many people have written to me that, that they have not received a sign from their loved one, and can I believe they're there? And it for signs to take place, I do believe our energy has to be good. And, as a little diagnosis and a little prescription I'm giving you now, add more laughter to your life and see what happens. How's that for homework?
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. And that the joyfulness is what opens us up, and it kind of enables that communication to flow. And, that's also why sometimes if people are in really, really heavy, in the throes of grief, it's not easy sometimes for mediums to connect with their loved ones in spirit, because that grief is so thick, it's so heavy, that sometimes it makes it more difficult. It's not that it's not possible, but it makes it more difficult.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, because that happens. I know that happens. Let's talk about you honing your skills. You have studied extensively with one of my favorite people on planet Earth, Tony Stockwell. What was that? I mean, I don't know how many times you've studied with him, but to me, I have watched every single one of his episodes on YouTube, doing medium readings, and I love the man. And when I met him for the first time, I said, Tony, you don't know me, and I'm not a stalker, but I said, I've got to tell you, I love you. He's so pure of heart, and he wants to give, and he's funny, and he's handsome, all good combination. Yeah.
He's absolutely, I feel like such a sincere, genuine, wonderful person and teacher. And it's funny, I found him, actually, when you were talking about Googling. It was a random day. Don't know why I was Googling, but I do now, but I was Googling. And I came across, I don't know if it was an advertisement for him because he was coming to Vancouver, or it's kind of like, it was for a retreat. He happened to be coming to my neck of the woods. And I just looked at the advertisement. I'm like, I need to be there. I need to go. And so I had only been working, I'd say, for about a year at that point. So this was a few years ago, but I knew I needed to go. So I signed up, and I went not knowing what to expect, not knowing what would unfold. And it was probably the most, the most life-changing experience I've had within my spiritual development. It was hard work, but it was incredible to hear of his experiences and his life doing this work, and his honesty about things, and just his perspective on things. It was incredible. He did a demonstration of overshadowing, which it changed my life.
You might have to describe what that is.
So basically, he sat in sort of like the trance state, and in a fairly darkened room, but he was able to allow spirit people to how do I explain it? It's like his face is there, but yet the faces of the spirit people who are gathering are kind of overshadowing his actual face. So you're looking at him, but then you're also seeing faces change on his face. And it was like, probably I'd say about 25, maybe 30 different spirits that we all saw the same thing. We were encouraged to talk about what we were seeing, so that we could compare and be like, do you see that? Do you see that? And everybody saw the same thing, the same spirits.
It's mind-blowing. When I saw Tony Stockwell, same thing. But I didn't know that was going to happen. So
Yeah.
there was light. There was some natural light
Yeah.
coming in,
Yeah.
so we could still see, but it was darkened for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, if I didn't know any better, I would say his face is changing, right? And they
Yeah.
did encourage us to talk to keep the energy
Yeah.
up. And I'm thinking, I see a guy with glasses. I see a man
Yeah.
with a mustache. I see a woman with long hair, right? Like happening in split seconds. And
Yeah.
somebody says, well, you're supposed to see that because that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's overshadowing or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. And I thought, oh, who knew?
Yeah.
But to
Well,
witness
that's
that,
the thing.
and there are people, people were like, I recognize my dad in that. I
Yeah.
recognize my sister
I
in that.
saw my uncle's face, and
Oh, man.
it actually took my breath away.
Sure.
And I didn't know it was possible, so it was the closest to God. And I'm not saying him, but just the experience, like, of feeling God in the room. It just changed me. So when I found out that there was a mentorship program available, I think, I don't know, 6 months later or a year later, I signed up. I was like, I need to experience more of this teaching, and I really believe in lifelong learning, to continue.
Absolutely.
So I did a 1-year program with him where it was all mediums from Australia and me. So I was the only Canadian in that group. And it was incredible. I mean, the people that I met, the experiences, we did a lot of readings for each other. And then basically you come back and you have, one-on-one Skype sessions with Tony so you can discuss what worked, what didn't. And he's, so encouraging, so inspiring. And then I'm also just finishing up a 2-year program with some mediums from the US. So, and then I'm also taking a teaching mentorship with him right now as well. So he's been a huge, huge part of my growth and my development, and helping me really with, feeling confident and being brave in my mediumship.
Was it one of these events where you met my friend Darla?
Yes. Okay. Where did I meet Darla from?
Hi, Darla. Darla listens to my shows. Darla is my biggest fan and champion, and she's been with me, or we've gone together to the Arthur Findlay College twice, and we have a long distance friendship, but we talk every month, and I love you, Darla. She's a great friend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I met Darla actually, this more recently, when Tony came back. So just last September, to my area. And Darla was there. So we met at that event. And then again, more recently, in April at Andy Bing workshop in Seattle.
Yeah, that's right. And it's so great for people to go to these workshops because there are beginners workshops. And what we do, you learn and then you get to practice on people, and Darla
Amazing.
had, I met this great girl, Melissa, da 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 da, da, and one thing led to another, and here we are today.
I
Melissa, can you tell us about this Shay Parker's Best American Psychics? What that is? Is that sounds like
Yeah.
you've been validated of someone who's got integrity in
Yes. Well,
this.
I mean, I really feel strongly about it because, for people who are grieving and they are looking for, they need someone reputable, they need someone who is going to be ethical. And I think that what Shay Parker's done is she's assembled a group of people that have been tested. So it's a rigorous process. You do have to sort of do readings for people over the phone. And basically then they look into all of your, they look into you, they research your references, they look at, your stuff online, they look at all aspects to make sure that you're someone who's working with integrity. And basically it's a directory of all these people who have passed the test basically, and have proven to have the abilities that they claim to have, and that who are also working with integrity.
Integrity is so important. Really is.
I mean, it really is, and I think that you could have all of the ability in the world, but if you're not working, ethically, and if you're not working from a place of love and sincerity, then your ability to help people is not is not really going to be as great as you need to have that. Um, I think you need to have your philosophy, and you need to stand by it, what you stand for, and how you want to approach this work, because it is a huge responsibility to be working with people at their most vulnerable.
Yes. Yeah, and a little commercial for integrity. It took me a long time to really get it that when you are your word and you're honest, and we're human and things happen. So
Yeah.
if something happens, you just people say clean it up. Just go back and say, oh, I said this, but I meant this, or if you're running late for an event or be at somebody's house, you call them. You just have you're just honest. Really, because we can't be perfect all of the time. But I tell you, integrity brings you power. Integrity brings you friends. Integrity brings you trust. And when you think of people in history that people really looked up to, they had this integrity. So, yeah, we're human. Can't always be perfect, but we do the best we can, and we're in communication when we can't. So
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. But a little food for thought.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
now you're rated as one of the best American psychics, which is awesome. And
Right.
yeah, and then I know about Doreen Virtue. I studied with her years and years ago. So you
Oh,
do
cool.
angel
Yeah.
card readings. That's part of your toolbox.
Yeah, it was something that that's how I kind of started when I started with going to the development circle. I started being kind of called to look at the angel cards and work with them, and I found that it was sort of the thing that really helped me in my personal life. Like
Hmm.
I would work with the angel cards, and I really felt it opened up that connection with the angelic realm. So that was sort of like the psychic aspect of it. I feel like that's how I really developed the psychic aspect, was working with the cards. I don't use them as much anymore in readings unless I feel um, someone is, it's really it's gonna be helpful to them. I find that it just depends, but in the beginning, I definitely used them quite often. I think it was also a bit of a buffer. It gave me something to focus on instead of having someone staring at me expectantly, waiting for me to say something really profound. And now, I guess because I have the confidence now. So, but I still use them. I love cards of all kinds,
Yeah.
oracle, tarot, angel cards.
And they're great.
Yeah,
If anybody's interested, if you just even go to Amazon and type in angel cards, we're talking about Doreen Virtue's angel cards. She's known as the Angel Lady.
yeah,
But any one of those kind of decks, what I find happens is, I can be in a bad mood or stressed out about something, and you shuffle the deck, and with the intention, what do I need to hear? And sometimes you pull out the card that is in each card. Each deck comes with a booklet of what the cards mean. But
yeah,
boy, it can really take me and put me like on a good path and with good thoughts in my head. And not all of us right off the bat can hear messages coming through our spirit
yeah,
guides or our loved ones. But, I don't doubt that there's a little vibration manipulation. Like, let's let her pull this card out. This is what
yeah.
she needs to hear.
Oh,
So I recommend those.
oh yeah. And I mean, the thing is, I used to just pull one in the morning and just ask my angels, what do I need to know today? And go about my day. And sometimes I would read the card and be like, okay, I'm not sure what this means, but okay. Go about my day, and sure enough, come back to it at the end of the day. And it was exactly like it was a perfect fit for, looking back on my day. I'm like, yep, I get why I got that card. I understand why, my angels wanted me to see that. And so now sometimes what I do is I'll just ask my guides or my angels in the morning to give me a word, like a word of inspiration or a theme, for my day.
Right.
And generally, sometimes it's random. It's seemingly random. Like, who knows? They sometimes give me grace. They sometimes give me joy, laughter, or whatever it might be. But I go back to it at the end of the day, and I'm like, it's always a perfect fit. I always can figure out why, and I think just their way of giving us a little bit of an extra boost, a little bit of inspiration for the day.
That's really nice. That's really nice. If we don't mind, I'd like to move on to you now. I mean, it sure sounds like you give medium readings based on everything we've talked
Yeah.
about, but you're more than that. But do you do readings on the phone and Skype and
hmm
things like that if somebody
Yeah,
can't get to you? Okay.
I've done lots of readings over Skype and over the phone. Some clients in all over the place, in the States, in the UK. But yeah, I do the mediumship, and I find that people do tend to find me or seek me out for the spirit connection. However, I really feel strongly in providing people with empowerment for their life, because I mean, 99% of the people who come to me, yes, they may have a need to connect with spirit, and of course we could do that. But there's also people who come and really they're at a crossroads. They're at a place where they're feeling stuck, or they're at a place where they're feeling they're lacking something. And what I love to do, I just named it soul coaching, because I feel that I can use my connection with the spirit world, but also the angels, spirit guides, ascended masters, to bring information that's going to be helpful. And I feel strongly about not giving people, like, not fortune telling, this is not about predicting or anything like that, but really, how I can help them, to be empowered so they can make their own choices from a place of feeling strong and feeling grounded and knowing themselves and knowing their soul. So within that, there's I teach a bit about meditation, and also about different tools that they can use, sort of like teach them how to read their own cards, teach them how to build and foster a relationship with their guides, that kind of thing.
Is
So
your soul coaching one-on-one, or is it like a group thing?
soul coaching I do one-on-one, but I also have a few circles that I run, I facilitate. And one of them is pretty much, it's almost like the same kind of idea, although we do sort of, endeavor to go into connecting with spirit as well and other things. But yeah, it's sort of like the ability to kind of tune in and give them, it's really soul to soul communication.
Is this something you have to be physically with you to do? Or are you doing something, over the
No,
phone?
no. Yes, lots of people find, just for convenience sake, doing long distance works for their schedule, and it works exactly the same as in a in-person session. So it's something that Yeah, people will do long distance for sure.
So are you on the phone, say, or is it through Skype? I'm just trying to picture what it is, because it sounds really interesting. You know, everybody's looking for growth for their soul, but would it be
Yeah.
over, say, 4 weeks that we all dial in the same number at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, that kind of thing?
Usually for say a long distance soul coaching session, it's usually four sessions,
Okay.
that people just book as they need, so they could book once a week if they want, or they could do, more time in between, depending on, it's really tailored to each person, specifically what they need.
Okay.
But if it's long distance, yeah, we'll meet on Skype or by the phone. It doesn't really matter. And basically, they usually come with questions. They have questions about their life path or career or relationship. Relationship is huge. I feel like I am really, really, I kind of specialize in relationship stuff. But then I also, before the session, sit with spirit and sit with my guides and their guides. And I have also an agenda of what I feel, we can cover, what we need to look at. And so aspects of it are a bit of a reading. I'll give them some information that it's coming up. But then I may take them through a guided visualization. So I might have them close their eyes and go through a visualization. The whole time I'm guiding them through a meditation, I'm also sending them healing, because I also am a spiritual healer. So I'll send the energy to them as I'm guiding them through the meditation, so they get a bit of that energetic boost as well. And then we'll look at sort of different aspects of manifesting sometimes, what they really wish to manifest in their life, and inspiration, so it's kind of like a very creative, it's very freeing for me, because I just open myself up and allow spirit to guide us.
Yeah, I was asking that because I was kind of picturing that you would work with a group of people, as opposed to if it's, I didn't know if that's available or if it's only one-on-one.
Yeah, and so in a group, I haven't done long distance group work
Yet.
before,
Yet.
but I feel like, yeah, it could
Could be
it could
happening.
be something that would be interesting, because I know there's some good platforms now that you can use so that you have interaction with people.
Yeah.
So that may be something to look at in the future. That'd be cool for
And
sure.
on your website, I saw you have a meditation CD, and I clicked on the link and I started just listening to little snippets of it.
Uh,
Sounds really good.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, the meditation CD came about because I really love to offer guided visualizations and meditations to people. I feel that it's such a beautiful way for, it's basically channeling the words of spirit. And, it can be really powerful. And I wanted to have something that I could offer clients, because I'm always saying, okay, well, I think meditation will help you, relaxation and visualization. I always was suggesting these things, and they would say, well, what do you recommend? And of course there's other meditations that I recommend to people for sure, but I just wanted to give something that was my sort of energy and what I kind of
Hmm.
stand for. So I often will use it as something to offer to the clients that I read for.
It's great that we're kind of concluding with meditation because that's how you started walking into what you thought was meditation. Our time's going by pretty quick. What haven't I asked you, or is there something you want to share that we haven't gotten to?
I think that really my message is that you don't have to be a medium to connect with the spirit world, and that each person has the ability to feel spirit. And the more you can get close to your soul, the more you can develop a relationship with the other world, I think the more peaceful this life can be. And even at the times where I feel people are so alone, they feel so alone, I want them to know that there is, I mean, my belief is in God. It doesn't have to be, some people say the universe or source, or some people don't believe in a God, and that's okay. But just to know that there is something greater,
Hmm.
and really that they are loved, regardless of the situation, regardless of I think the stresses and the pressures that we put on ourselves in the physical world, just for them to know that there is love, and that they are not alone.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Really beautiful. Melissa, what's the best way people can find out more about you and get in touch with you?
Best way is the website, which I'm just revamping. So there'll be a new sort of fresher look and stuff like that coming in the next couple weeks. So that's melissawhitesacredsoul.com.
And what's cute is by the time some people listen to this, it'll already be the new site. So
oh, probably.
somebody's listening now in 2020 going,
right.
Looks pretty good to me. Yeah.
And then, email. I find email, or even on the Facebook page. Lots of people find me there and contact me there, but that seems to be the best way.
And Facebook, we just type in psychic medium Melissa
White. Yeah, and that will come up.
You got a very easy to spell name, so thank you.
Yeah, well, what's funny is it's my married last name, and when even before we were married, I was kind of using it just because I thought, well, it's going to be White eventually anyway, and it's perfect for the work that I do, so it's great.
Yeah, it is wonderful. Well, Melissa, thank you for being our guest today.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much. It was lovely to chat with you and to just experience being in your energy. It was lovely. Thank you.
Thanks. And now you get to listen to your own episode if you listen to all these shows. It's always fun to do. Do I sound like that? Is that really me?
I know. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to listen to yourself, but I'm sure you're used to it by now.
No, I don't.
No?
My mother is too, not that she listens, but the one she listened to, she says, you say too much. I know. It's terrible. I need a little buzzer every time that goes off, or a little electric shock to curb that habit. But you all know that I come from the right place. And for our listener, thank you for spending this time with us. As with every episode, we intend to leave you in a better place than maybe when you tuned in to begin with, that sort of thing. And, we all need community. And I just recently started a Facebook group that is just listeners of this show that need or would like to have some new friends, people to talk about these things with, and totally accepted, totally loved, and unlike some people in your life that you might be afraid to share that you are dabbling in the world of the afterlife, this is a great place. So on Facebook, you can just type in We Don't Die Listeners, and you'll be brought to that page. And also, just as a reminder, if you want to go to afterlifestudies.org and check out this big symposium that's happening September 2017, I'd love to meet you in person. I'm hosting kind of a meet and greet at the bar on the Thursday night, the 14th, at the Embassy Suites. They have cocktail hour. So I'll be there wearing my blue shirt, my signature blue shirt, so you know how to find me. So lastly, my name is Sandra Champlain. I have been your host on We Don't Die Radio, and I do believe that life is an education for the soul, and that your life here on earth is important. And remember what Melissa said, you don't have to be a medium to connect with the spirit world, but it really does take starting with quieting your mind, meditating, getting to that place to allow people to come through. And, like we said earlier, add some laughter to your life and just see how things begin to shift. So I really want to thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon.